Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild landscape of Scotland. And for today's adventure, I'm once again exploring around the old abandoned history of the World War II RAF Tealing Aerodrome, which is obviously a World War II airfield, now abandoned and now used by modern industry. And a lot of the old nuggets of history is almost lost and forgotten forever. So with these videos, I'm basically going around and just recording what's left within these wild lands. A lot of it's almost just taken back over by nature, and also the modern industry, like this big electrical station and all the farming and stuff which is now within the airfield. It's just mad that most of the history is just about gone, forgotten forever. And here we are with this video, folks. So let's get into the action. The first place I'm going to have a look, there's kind of like a mound here, and I'm just wondering, I've not seen any air raid shelters yet at this airfield, and I'm thinking surely there must be at least one air raid shelter that's not been destroyed. So here we are, we're heading along, and there's another massive construction that I can see in the distance, and I'm thinking it might have been where they used to tune in the target for their guns on their old wartime planes, like the Spitfires and the Hurricanes, wherever else. Sometimes they would have a massive wall with like sand or whatever behind it, so they could fire the gun and tune it in and just make sure everything was perfect when the pilots take off. And I believe that might be what I can see up here in the distance. But right now I'm wanting to kind of just head into this little gathering of trees. Obviously to landowners and building owners and stuff, I always come with the greatest respect. I'm only interested in the history, which is almost completely disappeared, and it's kind of like open and forgotten. And it's like at one time there's been a track coming over through the field in front of me. I'm keeping the camera at this angle because unfortunately the sun's low in the sky at this time of year, and it creates this low shadow which can ruin a good clip, folks. So similar to what we saw in the last video at the far side of the airfield there's been another area here where there's been so much stuff bulldozed up into heaps here, and it's so unfortunate to see that. It's like we're a few years too late to document some of the coolest history. But what have we got here, folks? Yes, this is so cool, folks. Here is what looks like an air raid shelter, and this is what I was hoping to find on these adventures. I was saying that it was amazing to me there was none still on the go here, and then here we are. That's exactly what this is. Like, there's an emergency escape at this end, and then the main entrance at this side. Yes, I'm hyped, folks. I love it when I come into these wild lands and I actually find history and see things that I've never seen before. It's so cool to like share it on the videos with people all over the world. Some people has no idea that all this history even like exists in Scotland. All this wartime history from the Britain's attempt obviously at winning the war, which was successful back in the day. This was all key parts. And another thing, there would have been American, US Air Force in areas like this as well. And another interesting detail with the Tealing Aerodrome, there was also Russian Air Force and stuff in this area as well back at that time. So it's cool to think of that history, how all these countries fought alongside each other back at that time, obviously to defeat the enemy. Look at this though, here we are, folks. Forgotten history of World War II. Hidden in a field here. RAF Tealing. Whoa, what do we have? Yeah, this is mad, folks. All these are completely different, but this one's quite high above the ground, but also this is one of these ones which is like prefabricated cement pieces, and then they're built together. Yeah, wow. This is why I was saying that the one that I was at the Stracathro Aerodrome is a high strength, like airfield air raid shelter, because these ones are far lighter built with the sections. Wow, this is so cool, folks. I'll get the torch on. So this is something here I've noticed with these bunkers before, like at the old World War II section at Edzell, the numbers are on the stone, and that's from the way they were built. Each bit was numbered so you knew exactly where it went. Some people make the mistake and think that's the year. No way, look at this, folks. This is crazy. Look at the way the floor is made. The old cement. There's like a chair. Once again, folks, it's just mad to see stuff like this. I was trying to be super quiet there and I went and stood on that whole wall. Whoa, what a cool angle. Just think this was a place they would have run to if there was a chance of obviously an air attack or an attack on the airfield, and at one time there would have been a wee ladder going up here. And this is basically, it would have been completely covered with earth. It's a proper little air raid shelter. It's a little bunker that they would have run to in the case of like an attack, like I say. But it's crazy to see how now it's not even under the ground anymore. You can see the daylight. At one time all that would have been covered. I need to get a photograph, folks, for this angle. Yeah, this is totally mad, folks. I just got a couple of photographs there. It's the first time I've ever been in here and it's cool to see it. I was in one air raid shelter that was of similar construction to this. Oh no, actually I've been in a couple, because I was at the one at Edsall, but also I was in one at Stracathro Aerodrome. Wow, this is just so incredible. So let's head on out of this abandoned paradise and see what other historical remains are on this land here. So just think, folks, these buildings were built most commonly in the early 40s, and just think from that days, or those early days until now, it's just been decaying every day with the weather, slowly decomposing, rotting and falling apart. And there's a massive thing up there that I can see. I'm hoping I can kind of get round past that house. I'm going to go back to that track and along, but we'll just take this thing in from this final angle. It's amazing how high this sits above the ground. I'm thinking originally it must have had an earth layer over it. It's actually the highest sitting air raid shelter that I've seen. But maybe it was because of the wet nature of the land in this area. They maybe had no option but to do as they've done. But you can even see with the prefabricated structure, the different depths that you put it into the ground, you would just add more of those little cement pieces on. But also you could make these bunkers extremely long just by putting in loads of sections. But that's the reason all the sections are numbered, like the door sections and stuff would get put in the right place when they're assembling these old wonders. And then there's another bit here fenced off at the far side. I'm just curious like what it even is, but also I'm not really wanting to be like walking about in the person's field, because I'm really wanting to go to that cool bit of history in the distance. That's my main objective in this adventure, folks. But like, once again, it's crazy we've been able to document this. And I'm thinking there must be more air raid shelters in this area. Look at this, there's a deep hole here in the corner of the field. This may have even been dug at a certain time to bring the water away from the area of the bunker, but I believe in this section here there's been a lot more going on. Because there's so much more stones and stuff within the land there. It's just been bulldozed up into heaps. Yeah, so look at this, folks, you can see it, all these buildings at one time standing proud on the land, doing their job for the war effort, and then one day bulldozed down, flattened. And that's basically what I'm standing on here, this heap of rubble. But it's so cool that they've actually saved this little air raid shelter here. Shout out to the owner of this air raid shelter for leaving it kind of as it is and not destroying it. It's so cool to document at least one air raid shelter at this site, and you get an idea of what would have been dotted around many places. I'm so excited to go and explore this next location that I can see. It looks absolutely incredible, and it looks like a mega hub of this airfield. It's a huge wall, higher than even like the nearby houses and farms, and it's extremely reinforced with many like stone gussets at its rear. but also I can see there's another section of buildings in front of it, and it's just interesting to imagine what was going on there. It's maybe a firing range, I believe. At first I was thinking it was so they could tune in the aeroplane guns, but it's maybe literally been for the pilots and soldiers here to train and to obviously do a bit of shooting. Wow, this is so cool, folks. Obviously, like, there's a house here and stuff, so I'm taking a mega wide kind of route to try and get over to this history. Check this out, folks. Here's another one of these big cement chunks, which at one time must have been blocking some of these internal roads here on the World War II site. We're getting even closer now to this ancient wonder, and I can't wait to explore it. It's the first time I've ever been to, if this is like some sort of firing range or area for tuning in the guns, I've never been to a site like this in my life. So it's so exciting. It's a first for the channel. I have been to like a rifle shooting range before along near Montrose, but it just looks nothing like this. This is like 3 stories high of pure massive wall, and who even knows what else on these buildings. So check this out, folks. I've just come off this old World War II road. I could see the cement, and there's so much more little bits and pieces here, which has also been like bulldozed. All these chunks. And now I'm heading into this ancient wonder, which is an exclusive location, I would say. I've never seen this documented on YouTube before, and I've certainly never documented it myself on a video before, so it's going to be so cool to come and see. This is so far away from like the main hub of the airfield. I think this kind of spot actually goes unseen, undocumented quite often. But here we are in this crazy video, folks. This is mad. Here, this is crazy because there's so many buildings here. I'm going to try and push on into this. I'm going through these massive like nettles that are the same height as my head right here. Obviously this time of year all that stuff's dying back, making these adventures possible. And I did say it was exploring season, folks, and like here we are on one of the maddest adventures that I've ever had. We're right in the heart of this World War II airfield, and I just can't believe what I'm seeing. And we've made it to the first little buildings here. What has this been? Look, this is the massive wall that I was telling you about. At first I was thinking it was for, often they have a wall like this with sand up behind it, and it's for like, I can't even think what the word would be, like tuning in the sights on the guns. That's what the word would be, folks. For calibrating the sights of the guns on the plane. They often had a wall like this, but with this wall here, I'm thinking it's maybe something different. I can actually see there's holes through the wall with like pipes, and then massive brackets which must have held an aerial at the end of the building. And then there's this secondary little building here at the front we'll take a look at. Yeah, see, there's been so much landscaped after the war, it's also hard to decipher like how much of this earth and stuff had been there back then. Yeah, look at this here. This is the first building. Look, it's got this interesting, all these brackets the whole way along on every single front, and look, the wood's still on some of these. Yeah, this is interesting because it's mounded up in here. I'm wondering if they would be shooting into this or whatever. But then some of them aren't like that. Look, this one's got the big battens of wood on here still. Yeah, this is interesting, folks. What kind of building or whatever this has been. See, this is also very interesting here, folks, because see these big brackets? This is the same big brackets that's on the edge of that really high wall there. Look, it's cool to see the wood. And it shows you how the brackets were at one time mounted with the 2 big screws. Each of them's got a different level of stuff like thrown in it over the years, so it's hard to gauge what the buildings were. Not unless it's been some storage or whatever. This is crazy, folks. Let's head through. I'm just pushing through the bushes. Yeah, it's had a lot like built up on it over the years, because obviously the building's deep in with the earth behind it. And look at this massive wall. I can't even believe what I'm seeing right here, folks. This is so cool. let's head on to this building. This is interesting because this whole bit of land is really dark earth, and that's how I was wondering if it was even original. Yeah, this is super interesting here, folks, because I can actually see there's holes through the wall. I'll get a closer look at this. Yeah, check this out here. This is what I was saying. Literally holes in the original wall. But I'm not sure if that's because if there was maybe earth or something. Let's go around and have a look and see what this was. The theories going through my head. I often throw so many theories out when I'm speaking about somewhere or on the way somewhere, and then when you get there you uncover the proper layers and details. Look at this, wow. This is insane, folks. Look at the size of this construction right here. Just think, World War II Scottish history right here. Never seen on the channel. And I'm literally like in my element exploring a thing like this. And I can see there's loads of other wee buildings and stuff around this area. This is absolutely mad. Whoa, look at this, see? I believe this is what it's been, folks. This is so cool. Look at all the holes where the bullets have been hitting the wall at this side. See, this would have been mounded up with like sand and earth. And I believe they would park the plane back at that far side. And then they would tune in the sights of the guns. And how cool is it to document one of these areas on my channel? Like, I never thought in my life I would see one of these. I had no idea like one of these was even around here. Wow, I'm absolutely blown away. I'm perplexed by what I'm seeing. And this massive construction, just think how many years it stood here. Surely the Germans were going over, like photographing the land, seeing all this stuff, just thinking like, what are they even doing in a spot like that? Yeah, this is so cool, folks. Look, even this bit here, it shows this is the original height, because it's got the cement render on it still. And that shows that those steps that you can see on the walls are of the original construction. And because of the weight of sand or whatever in there or earth, you can see how many gussets they've had on the walls. And then these wall extensions at the end must have been just for shrapnel, or if somebody's bullet had gone astray. Wow, I'm thinking up there must be holes in the wall from the bullets, and I think that's how it's so peppered and weakened up there. And then there's a massive bit there dug out or hollowed out. See, another thing, it was maybe even, like often big airfields did have somewhere like that to tune in the aeroplane guns, but also, like I said further, like earlier in the video, it could have been rifles. The soldiers may well have been sitting back there shooting in this direction. I'm going to head up to this bit and document the back wall. And if I go up here, I should be able to get a good view of what they've been doing here. See, that's what it is. Those pipes are in the wall to drain the water out of this ground that's in front of it. Yeah, look how many like holes and stuff's been shot up in it. Also, some of these holes could be created for like the little bits of shrapnel and stuff that came flying off the ground when it was hit. You can actually see the original shape on the wall where the dirt had been. The original dirt had come right up to this height. And look, you see that line going round. But look, an interesting detail with the line. It's almost like a perfect angle there. Look, this must have been the line that they piled the earth to. Right to there. I'm guessing it was like earth or sandy kind of stuff. And I can see the wall has been moving even though it's got like that massive gusset. And that's how it's cool to video and document places like this. And often over the years they degrade and decay, and the history can often go missing forever, can go forgotten. And just think, some of these holes had been created from projectiles, bullets. And I'll go over and take a look at that in a minute, where they would have actually been firing from. Maybe if it had been an aeroplane gun, the wall would have had to be even thicker. Yeah, this is massive. It's interesting how they've taken it out here. I'm not sure why all the earth or whatever's been taken from this site, not unless they were using some of this when they were making the foundations for that house there, or because it was probably a real like clay type of sandy material. It was often a special grade of stuff they would use to slow the bullet. Yeah, this is mad. Like, you can see how some of them, it's definitely like chipped from like a bullet or whatever. It looks different to the normal erosion on the bricks. Again, chips like that would have been near the thin layer of earth at the top. Wow, there's so many of these bushes, folks. I'm just pushing through. We're always here to get the coolest content and go on the coolest adventures on this channel. And I'm so chuffed with this today, folks. Whoa, look at this here. Whoa, look at this. There's no gust, well, no like earth at this side. That shows you how high up we are off the ground. And it's absolutely mad what they did in the war. See, I'm not sure if there had been like camo nets or something. Yeah, here we are. Look, there's a helicopter going overhead. Look, we're up on this structure, and I was just looking to see if there was any camo nets or even marks where there may have been such an item. But I'm really not seeing it. Wow, what a cool bit of history. This wall at this end's far more preserved. Yeah, the wall's far more preserved at this end. That could be because of the weather. Again, the angle of it, this is maybe more protected. And once again, you can see the original line there where the earth or material had been. Oh, look at this. Oh no, kind of what I thought, folks. I thought it had a metal kind of edge on it, but it doesn't. It's just the way the stone looks. I'm being super careful as well not to really touch any of this, because as you can see, it's just hanging on in there, fragile. The slightest touch and that would fall off. I didn't want to ruin the history any more than it is. It's cool to save this history and tell the story of it. Just think of the hustle and bustle and wild nature of this when it was built for its original purpose. And you can just see how many chips is in it for getting shot up. And then it's got this lower wall here. And I'm guessing probably they would level it and sort it out after a good day's shooting. Yeah, I can't even believe like how big this is. The whole way through it, it's got those pipes to drain it, to drain the water out, and that's because it's built in Scotland and it rains quite a lot here. Areas like this, as you can see from my adventures today, like it's soaking underfoot. Yeah, wow, that's been special. It would be scary standing at the far side of this place. Again, when it was in operation, I was just once again there thinking what that building might have been in relation to this. That is cool to see. Anyway, let's head over and check out these buildings here, folks. I believe this must be related to what we're seeing here with this incredible construction. There's just so many buildings over at this side. Some of them still got their original cement render, and then other ones appear to be just the bare brick in more of a sorry state. Let's just start with this one here. This is crazy, folks. Look, somebody's been graffitiing up on the back of here. If this was a shooting range, that must be kind of the front of it in that spot there. Yeah, look at this little building. It's got a cement floor. Typical RAF construction here, folks. The way it's got these, almost what I would call like a stone gusset to strengthen the wall. Look, you see it on the outside as well at the corners. That's the character of a World War II RAF building. You just think there's more here in this bushes. We must just about be at the far side of the airfield here. Mad history, folks, once again. It's just blowing my mind. I say the same things quite a lot often on a video, but it's because each time I look at a different building, it just keeps blowing my mind. Sometimes I'm lost for words to describe how incredible the history is that I'm actually witnessing. And something like this, it's just so cool. It's interesting how like this is built. I'm thinking there must have been like a roof from this building here right the way along here, and this is where the soldiers would have been lying or standing when they were taking their shots at that wall there. This is so cool, folks. A World War II shooting range. And I've only ever been to one other shooting range, and that's at Montrose Airfield. Check this out. I want to have a look along the back of here and imagine it when it was a complete building, the full length of here. Wow, yeah, look, it's had these little windows up high, little short windows at the top of the structure, and then this end here, maybe like an office or some sort of room. Wow, that's crazy, folks. I would love to kind of go along, actually under those bushes along the back wall and have a look, because it's probably in great condition, where it's been like protected for the worst of the weather. And look at this metal piece. I'm not sure if that was related to the airfield or what, but it's kind of gotten folded up. Wow, that wall has just blown my mind, folks. I could see it way in the distance. In the last video when I was recording some other interesting little buildings down the airfield, I noticed this in the distance and I just thought, wow, I had never seen such a grand, massive construction. But when I saw it, I had an idea what it may be. And originally I was thinking it was for tuning in and calibrating the sights on the airplanes, whereas now I can see it's been a rifle range, and that's for the soldiers themselves to come and practice and train. And a lot of RAF airfields had that. Look at this here. That's right the way along on each of these pillars on the rear here of the building. At the same height it's got this. And I'm guessing there must have been some brackets or a shelf of some sort on the back wall, and then these little windows. And yeah, the whole way along it's in incredible condition right there. It's so overgrown you can hardly see it. But wow, what a scene of World War II. Kind of what I love, folks. I love seeing that, the way that these buildings have got like the pillars all the way down them, in the work, in the stonework, the brickwork. That was obviously to get strength, like pillars, but it just gives it that character, the character of an RAF building. And here's a fully symmetrical building at this far end. This is interesting here because this is the same as the building at the other end, so who would even know? Look at this. Here's another detail of the history. Look, there's been something mounted in this part of the wall. You can clearly see it. And then look, it's been bolted up at this side as well. Wow, what a place, folks. Look at this, metal pieces sticking out of the ground. Maybe an old part of some of the wood or whatever that was up here. It maybe had the metal around it for strengthening it. See, it's the adventure to come and find stuff like this as well, folks. It's so interesting when you get here and document it. And when I first set off, I had no idea I would find anything. To find so much, it's just so special. Once again, I can see the rebar here exposed within the old cement lintel. Just think about the soldiers or engineers which built all these places as well back in the early 40s. They had no idea the outcome of the war. They knew that they were in for a long, tough battle, and all these places were built, and they ended up being crucial key parts in Britain's war effort. The overall result in the war was positive, but when they built these places they never knew like what the outcome would be. And yeah, I often just think about that as I explore them. Imagine the person that put that render on or those bricks on. Think what they may have been speaking about at the time. Yeah, think how the land looked out here back then as well. And I'm just going to go down here a little bit to make sure there's no history, because it looks like there's a mound here in the ground. Sometimes that's how my adventures are. I go to find one piece of history and I just keep finding more and more. And today we've been blessed with what we've found. We found some of the coolest World War II history at this site, I would say. To see that massive wall, the way it's created. Yeah, I'm looking here, but there's no actually any structures there. It's just some bushes and some overgrown area. So I'll head back down along here. Yeah, so I would say that wall is like 3 stories high right there. Credit to the strength of the construction. It's still standing to this day with no maintenance for many years. And obviously there's been a roof. I'm not sure if the roof's been taken off here maybe and used on maybe like another building or a shed somewhere. But it's cool to imagine it when it did. Hey, that roof. Look how the moss is taken back over. Under about 6 layers of moss, you can see the original floor right there, the cement floor. So it's quite interesting just to see that. So another thing I imagine in these places, folks, is the noise of like the guns going off and how mad a scene, how busy a place it must have been. And then nowadays it's almost like a post-apocalyptic scene of war, where everything's just abandoned and silent. The wild lands have become peaceful lands. The historical buildings, which at one time were parts of war, almost weapons of war themselves. Look, it's like somebody's been burning in here electrical wire, because I can see tons of cable and pieces of wire in. So maybe at one time back in the day they had stripped the site of all its like electronics and then scrapped a lot of the metal work. Anyway, now I'm going to head further along and see if there's any more World War II history around here that I've not seen. There must be more crazy like little air raid shelters or other little abandoned buildings. It's like these trees have been planted almost to screen this. But it's so cool that it's been left, and I just love to see it, the character of the cement render over the red bricks. And another detail that I wanted to document at this corner, it's got the metal brackets there, so I'm not sure if there's been an aerial or an antenna, but that's the same brackets that's on the wee shed down at this side. Yeah, I'm not sure what way I should go. There's a few different paths, but I think I'm going to head down this forest first and see if there's any history hidden that I've missed. Check that out, folks. There's a mad like buzz coming off that. That's the electrical power station, and we're right at the far side of it now, and I'm hoping I can head back around this end of it and then round to where my car's parked. I'm really not sure if there's any more like World War II history hidden over here in these lands, but I was just curious. Potentially I was thinking there may be some history hidden within these trees over at the far side. So check it out, folks. I've now come around the far side of the airfield and the view out here is incredible. The sun's shining, but I'm going to have to try and make it back across, somehow across this wild land here, because I really need to try and get back this direction over here, I believe. I need to get right around the far perimeter of that like electrical station. So I'm thinking that my best bet would probably be just to head in here. So check this out, folks. There's loads of polytunnels here, and I'm just making my way along this bit of wasteland behind that. It's got these kind of like reed beds and incredibly boggy areas, and that's how I'm being quite careful as to how I navigate around this land. I was over within that tree line there is where the shooting range is, and it's crazy you can be so close to something like that, but yet it's invisible, covered by nature itself. It's amazing that that history is just in the land to be seen every week. I love just bringing you like new history and new abandoned places, and it's crazy that I'm still able to keep finding them like this and documenting them. Tons of strawberries within these polytunnels. So here we are, folks. I've now made it back around to the side of the electrical station, which I really need to get to. And there's like some other like mounds of stuff. I'm trying to think what area I've already looked at. I'm thinking I'm wanting to walk over here because there's some mounds of stone and stuff, and I want to document some of this history before I leave the site here. So in this adventure it's been so cool to document that air raid shelter and also that shooting range for the first time ever on the channel. Those two locations all in one video, folks. It's a special edition adventure here, and it's mad just to think how much history like was here which is now deleted, every like so often around here I could just see massive piles of stones, and it's such a shame just to think that was all buildings. Each one had their little part to play. Whoa, there's a mouse! There was literally like a mouse like right at my feet. Or it could have been a little rat, it was that big. Yeah, this is crazy, look at this folks. More piles of cement right here. Yeah, look at it. It's been maybe like the base to an old road or something potentially even. Whoa, look at that. That's an interesting bit there. Look, it must have been like sunk into the ground, and then this bit's been on top of the ground. It's mad to see the way they used to lay all that stuff and make that. There's an absolutely massive pile of concrete there. It's so sad that each one of these is like destroyed, or there's no real any trace of like what this even was, apart from a pile of cement on the ground. Look at this. It's like an old frame of some sort, maybe an old drain lid, or... Yeah, because the old runway used to come right up through the middle here. And it's hard to even like see where that is now. Wow, this is crazy, this landscape. I'm going to keep going round past these other massive like mounds of rubble here. I can actually see the smoke over here, and it must be like the farmer's got a wee fire going. Yeah, look at this here. This is another one of these. I believe this bit would have been right in the ground before. Look how big those big chunks or rebar are, but I think at the other side that's actually been the things that they were able to hook the planes on. They used to hook the planes onto bits like that so they could run them up at like maximum throttle and test them out properly. And that's what this looks like, and that's similar to the stone that we saw at the far side with the, I think it was in the last video actually, we saw a stone with a metal loop on it. Some folk would think it was maybe for like the guy rope of a mast or something, but it would have actually been for tying the planes down. Another thing, sometimes the planes used to just get tied down even when they were parked, to save them like blowing away, or to save them like flying away with the wind. This is crazy folks, look at this. This is more remains of history in front of me. I'm going to just keep the camera rolling here. Look at this, there's some proper big chunks of like drain pipe and stuff on this one. Check it out folks, little pieces of World War II history now, all bulldozed into one little heap. Look, that's like old frames or old door frames. Old parts of this building here that's just been bulldozed and destroyed. And I can see along there, it's just the same story. There's some massive chunks of building. It's just such a shame they're gone and almost forgotten. Little details of history that would have been so interesting to see when they were fully built, fully assembled. Look, you can just tell how big this airfield was by the quantity and the piles of the rubble. That was maybe even parts of the runway that had been torn up, or it could have even been an area here where there had been hangars and stuff. Look at that, how the drainage had been through the cement work. Check it out folks. 4 massive pipes all in a square. Look, here it is again here. Just think about that, eh? All those pipes through the cement, the concrete work. Look at that, eh? That would have all been under the ground at a certain time. Yeah, it just blows me away, all this can be destroyed and gone. Such a shame. Each of these heaps, it's almost like each of these heaps of stone here has been like a hangar. And they're almost in such a shape that it's like a curve. You can just imagine the hangars around here in a circle. But the biggest pile of rubble seems to be over there in the middle. Yeah, I'm not sure if they bulldozed all this with the intention of taking it away originally and then they just left it where it lies. Yeah, so it's just more piles. Look at this here folks. Look at this historical detail. What has that been? See, that's been part of a building. I think this is the underside of a drain lid. Well, say it's been part of a building. It could have been a drain lid up the side of like a hangar or a small like road section within the airfield here. There was a lot of internal roads in places like this. And the way the land looks, it's almost like there's been a road looking around the outside here. Yeah, it's pretty much more of the same the whole way down here. So check it out folks, I've battled through this thick, long, bushy kind of weeds just to document this. It's the biggest pile of rubble here, right in the centre of all those other little piles that I just looked at. And look, there's just some mad little details of buildings here that I wanted to come and record. Look at this, it's such a shame all this has been bulldozed like this. Check it out here. Look at these interesting pieces. Look at the shape of them. All these carved cement pieces right here. Oh look, that's one of those top pieces for the air raid shelter. No way, that's why these bits are carved folks. This is actually an air raid shelter like we saw at the start of this video, but this one's been fully bulldozed and destroyed, and that's just such a shame to see that. Such a shame that history can just be destroyed like that. That's the emergency escape. And then these are the curved sections which at one time were the air raid shelter. Wow, I'm glad that I actually came over to document this now, because it's such a shame this is almost gone. It's almost criminal that things like this can be destroyed like that. Look at those big sections, all prefabricated parts of cement, which at one time all fitted together. And just think that was the inside of a bunker. It looks like it's been a lot wider than the one we looked at. This must have been so interesting to see when it was in its prime. Yeah, so I'm not sure of these air raid shelters' original position here on the land, but it's just mad to see that. I'm glad I came over because I've never seen one bulldozed like that still on the surface. Look, you can see the proper curve in the depth here of the section. It's quite interesting there, the way it curves over. And then the original stone, well, the original brick I should say, which would have been the entranceways on the old air raid shelters. And that, like, the whole way down that road, there's just a big pile that's been bulldozed. History gone, but not forgotten thanks to these videos. It's just sad that we've been a few years too late. Look, here's the slopey piece, which at the door of these air raid shelters, there's like a slope. And that was to prevent the blasts and stuff from going in. Like, it was angled specifically for that. Check this out here. Just a mad wilderness. I'm going to head back over to this road here and just basically head down where all that rubble is. Look at this here folks. I believe some of this is actually part of the old runway. And you can see this area, just this wee corner, it's all been bulldozed up. But I believe the old runway used to come up this way through the power station. And we actually in the last video saw the other side of that. So I'm just going to basically follow this road out now and just document any little historical nuggets that's dotted about the land here on my way out. But it's just mad to see the cement. This was either an internal road here at the airfield, or this was actually part of the runway. And from what I'm seeing, it's like it's got asphalt on it, which could be the old coating that used to be on parts of the runway, or all the runway I should say. All this has just been freshly landscaped and bulldozed. Yeah, it's just crazy folks. I love the history to be saved. So within the rubble at the roadside, it's got those massive cement blocks, which are those ones that I think they tied the planes to for sure. They've got that look to them anyway. And areas like this, they must have just been kind of at the edge of what I believe must have been an area of hangars and maybe maintenance. And then that'll be the reason that air raid shelters, there's probably been a few of them, and they've all just been bulldozed into those heaps. History just deleted and gone. And I'm not sure, there's got to be like more of those air raid shelters somewhere on this airfield that's still like able to be explored. There was that one that we found, but I would think surely there would be more considering the size of this airfield. It must have been a common thing to have air raid shelters at each particular area of the airfield. There is like a bit of a yard over there I think, which used to be part of the airfield, but I could see a fire burning over there, so I'm now going to go across in case the farmers like in that area. Look at that folks, massive old trailer sitting there. They must be literally doing work here though every day just now, and it's a common thing. So you can see they've got all this lights and stuff set up, probably for when the boys around here doing his bulldozing and putting in his road. It's funny that they're putting in this light hardcore material and they're getting rid of the thick cement that's been there for nearly 100 years. This stuff will just won't last as long as the cement for sure. It's unusual to see they're landscaping bits like this, putting big heaps in. And it's the history which at one time lay here I'm most interested in, but I don't know why they would make heaps like this everywhere. So check this out folks, at this side of the airfield there's more history discarded and deleted here in the land. And look, there's a wee motorbike or a scooter. Oh, I think it's actually an old wheelbarrow. It's been proper crushed. But yeah, there's some interesting little bits of a World War II building here as well. Or definitely the base to a building. You can see how under the land when they built these as well, they had the layer of bricks and anything else that they had just left over, they would have thrown it in and then poured their cement into it. The interesting thing, this has got the tar on top of the cement as well, which is interesting to see. That is an interesting historical detail. Whoa, I just about got caught in the barbed wire there folks. I'm just heading basically right around this side. My car's actually parked over there, so I'm just trying to record as much history as I can, even though sometimes it just looks like a pile of rubble. It's actually got a cool historical tale to tell. Yeah, I believe there was massive cables or pipes or whatever run across the land recently, and that's how a lot of this has been all redone. All this land was recently like re-landscaped basically, and that was because they were putting the massive like cables or whatever under the ground. Check this out, hey, look, there's a massive interesting chunk here. Some of the cement's super thick. It's been some heavy duty foundations at one time. Yeah, look at this here, it's a big cement part of the building. Brick part of the building I mean folks. Oh, there's a wee robin there running about in the structure. Yeah, this is crazy. I've almost done like a full 360 walk around this whole airfield, and I'm still thinking there's probably more to be seen in a future adventure. There'll be a lot more like little buildings and little structures just hidden within this wilderness. And it is mad to see like how far we've come from the trees at the far side all the way over to here, and I've been continuously walking past remains of buildings, so it's crazy to think what a large site this was back in the war. It is amazing just to see how that can disappear and get deleted as time goes on. Details of the history almost forgotten. Yeah, it is interesting. I'm always just keeping my eyes peeled for like another air raid shelter. I can hear this pylon above my head, but ken what? I think I've just noticed another air raid shelter folks. Right folks, I'm going to end this one here, or it's going to get too long, because I've just noticed some more World War II history that's worth documenting and sharing with the world. So if you want to see that, tune in to the next adventure. I'm ending this one here. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.